To test 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think it should be good. Are you guys able to hear me? Cause I have to use my laptop today. Cause I think my outlet's what's like shorting my shit. Oh man, that really sucks. Cause I used a second monitor and I think it like messed up that monitor too. Let me just try to like situate myself here because this is very last minute. I didn't expect my monitor, especially my second monitor, to go out. Good thing the new one didn't get in. But yeah. Can everybody hear me fine? Type 1 if you can hear me, type 2 if you can't hear me. Actually, don't type anything if you can't hear me because that means you can't hear me. Volume low. Is my volume low or is it okay? Okay. Make sure you turn up your volume on, your YouTube. A bit low. Okay, I'll turn it up a little bit since there's a couple people saying it's low. Alright, how's that sound? Better? Alright, I'm assuming that's better, right? Yeah. So I guess let's get started today. Today, I'm not really too interested in any trades once again because there's no news. So something that I'm always aware of is news. However, I do think that I still want to see this daily fair value gap. So this is annotated in yesterday's live in the Discord. Let me just make sure my charts are in alignment. Yeah. So we took this previous high out, and I think we invert. We didn't invert this gap yet, so I think it's still permissible for price to trade back into this daily fair value gap right here. We also have a volume balance resting right where price is right now, so it could make sense that price sees a retracement here. I think that it's been 8 days or so, 7 days of up movement in Nasdaq. So I think, just historically speaking, is like I think it's time for like retracement of some sort. But obviously, we're not gonna base our full analysis off of just up candles. We're gonna use like extra confluences. And right now, we're in this volume balance. This weekly fair value gap is my ultimate draw as of right now. After that, if we're able to invert that, I'm looking for all time highs. Sorry, excuse me. And so, if we're able to flip that, then we'll look for high prices. But as of right now, I think that we could possibly see maybe a retracement back into this fair value gap and then go higher and then invert that and then go higher. So that's pretty much what I have in mind as of right now. Obviously, we could go lower. So in terms of this retracement, we'll have to see how deep we go. And so the current range that I would be interested in using is this one right here, which is the immediate range. So this is the immediate dealing range one right now. However, there is the overall range of this the previous market maker sell model, right? So we can also use that. So I understand right now, we just took out an internal high on the daily range. So we could potentially see some retracement here, which makes sense, into this fair value gap, see if we're going to start disrespecting bullish order flow or not. And then if we do start disrespecting bullish order flow, then I would ultimately be looking for these equal lows resting below here. Right. So I think that's pretty clean as far as it gets. So that's pretty much what I would be looking for right now. So today, I think that possibly we could be seeing some downside. Oh, it's already started. But right now, once again, I always wait for SMT before any confirmation of entry and stuff. Especially today has no news, so I'm not really too interested in looking for a trade. So we're gonna be patient, wait for 9:30 a.m. and see what it has to offer us, and then we can possibly look for shorts. I see these equal lows resting below here. I also see this fair value gap right here, that this could be our first objective, right? If we're in a market maker sell, we're gonna want to invert gaps that were on the buy side of the curve. So this one respected on the buy side of the curve. If we trade back down to it, let's say at 9:30 we trade through it, back into it, we can look for lower prices like that, something like that. So that's my overall bias for today. Now, one thing I want to mention is that normally I don't think price doesn't just like, U-turn, in my opinion, in like one candle. So I think that if this candle does present bearish today and we are looking for lower prices, I would expect the swing high to be put in first and then we continue lower. So once again, expectations not super high for today, especially after yesterday. It was somewhat expansive. I wouldn't say like super expansive, but it was somewhat expansive with, oh wait, it was actually pretty expensive. It was like 400 points of movement, right? So we traded into that buy sell liquidity that we were looking for, the equal highs, right, left from last week. Took that out. So this week, maybe if we have SMT on the highs, we can look for lower prices. But then if we have, bullish SMTs, and that just means we're just going to look for a continuation. So as of right now, I don't have a solid bias. I think I just need to wait until 9:30 for some sort of SMT to form. That way I can have a clearer idea of where price is trying to reach for. Are you able to have the same trading view account? No, you can't. So when you use one, the other one will pause, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part of it. So as of right now, I understand like there's probably a lot of you guys that are looking at this right now, and you're probably looking at it like, oh my gosh, it's going lower. I gotta get in on this. Well, the thing is, that would just be like, what analysis here is telling you to get in on this, right? So always make sure you're trading what you see, not what you think. That's very crucial. Especially when it comes to ICT analysis, it's very, honestly, in a way, it's very mechanical because it's either there or it's not. Just with any technical analysis, it's either there or it's not. And if it is there, then you take the trade idea and you can manage your trade accordingly to what is there and what is not there, right? Same thing, right? So when it comes down to doing your analysis, you're going to be forming your trade idea on what's there versus what's not there, right? So if it's there, trade it. If it's not there, then just wait. Same as risk management. If it's there, exit your trade. If it's not there, then just leave your trade. So what I'm gonna do right now is this is what I do every morning is I have my physical journal in front of me right now. I'm just gonna journal some, thoughts, emotions, stuff like that about myself today, right? So I woke up today. How am I feeling? Am I feeling eager? Am I feeling impulsive? Am I feeling frustrated? Or am I feeling happy today? What's going on, right? So I'm gonna ask myself these kind of questions. How am I feeling today? And then in turn, over time with this journal, I'll have, I've collected data on myself where I can start regulating my own emotions, how it affects me in the market, right? And it also keeps my hand busy, right? If you have a physical journal, that's why I think a physical journal for emotional journaling is pretty good, because it keeps your hands busy. You'll have a pen in your hand instead of a mouse or your trackpad or whatever it is. Thoughts on equal highs at 882 on 15 minutes. Let's take a look here. I think that's. I mean, you have equal highs, but I don't know. I wouldn't really pay attention to that run. I just wait for it 8:30. You know what I'm saying? Or 9:30. Sorry. So as of right now, I'm just paying attention to London low, London high. All right, and what makes SMT high probability is also the element of time, right? So you're gonna need some sort of volatility injection that will make it higher probability. All right, so right now, does it look very probable that there's an SMT forming on the low? Not really. So I'd be looking for continued downside because there is no SMT on the lows. Okay, let me read up these questions that I just was looking for longs. As of right now, I think that we could see some downside for retracement because we met those equal highs on the daily chart. So I think until 9:30 gives us some clear information or some clear structure in market, I'm not really interested in or too eager to look for a trade as of right now. But I think after 9:30 there should be a little clearer structure formed for some sort of trade idea. But as of right now, it doesn't look like there's, for me at least, there might not be a trade in the AM session because of how all the markets are trading through London low right now. Ethan's variety, there's no SMT on 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minute, even at 9:30 when all high SMTs are invalidated. What are you waiting for? I'm not waiting for anything. I'm not waiting for anything specific, I would say. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Janice. Appreciate it. Do you understand the Reaper for Valley Gap? Honestly, I heard about that and I was like, I'm not even gonna bother learning it. I have a model that works for me, so what's the point of me learning new stuff? Right. I'll learn stuff that is constructive to my current model already, like refining and stuff. But if it's something completely brand new, then there's no point. I'm doing my journal right now, by the way. So if I'm not talking, that's why. So I urge you guys to do the same before equities open, at least to at least understand where you are emotionally and psychologically right now. Are you eager to press a button? Are you constantly staring at the chart? You're like, oh, it's going down. I gotta get in on this somehow. You know, just reset your mind and have zero expectations for the market. You can make $1 million today, or you could lose $1 million today, as long as you follow your risk management, your you know you regulate your emotions well, and you also follow your plan. That's a green day. For our bearish SMT with YM, let me take a look. Not too interested in that SMT. Let's see what else. I see Boron was your model. I think ICT is. I mean, even his rants are like about psychology, right? Like I understand it's a little boring, but it's useful information for sure. Is your model? My model is just using higher time for repeat array, SMT, and lower time for market maker model. That's literally my model. First, we're really out for the first day of the month. Is that ICT you're referring to, JG? Large NWAP below possible target. Yeah, that could be a possible target. And for my setup to be formed, nice. That's the plan. Asia, London. I personally don't use NKD because I'll keep backtesting it, but personally I've become profitable with just ES, NQ, YM, so I don't really want to switch things up. But I'll keep backtesting it for sure. What type of question would you recommend I ask myself about how am I feeling right now before the session? Well, you just gotta ask yourself, are you expecting something, right? I think that's like the number one thing that like any trader needs to ask himself. Are you entering the markets with expectation today? Are you expecting a trade today? Are you expecting to be green today? Right? If you have those expectations, you're already setting yourself up for frustration. You know what I mean? So you just it's more. It's not really like asking yourself questions. I guess. I mean, you could ask yourself like, how are you feeling right now? It's like, am I feeling impulsive, eager to get in the market? I want to make some money today. You know what I mean? Like, that's bad, obviously. So it's more like a mental checklist to have to make sure that you're at the best version of yourself. Did I get enough sleep last night? You know, am I in a good headspace right now? And I get it. This down move right here could have made you millions of dollars, right? But is part of your plan, you know? Because if it's not part of your plan, then how do you expect to be consistent over long term? It's the small consistent gains with the occasional few large winners that make you extremely profitable over a long time period of time, not just one big home run every day. Because if you can hit a home run every day, that means you can lose the same amount every day. I do look for SMT intermediate term time frame. So it's higher time frame key level, intermediate term time frame SMT to lower time frame market maker model. In my opinion, there's quite for me at least right now. There's nothing to do because I don't have SMT. Like if I don't have SMT, I simply don't have my model there, and I can't do anything. So it's understanding like when your model is present, when it's not. So if your model is, let's say, we trade into this fair value gap, right, and that's it, and you're like, okay, I'm longing. Then okay, that's your model. But you just have to understand. You have to have something like, you have to have a mechanical framework, is what I like to say. You need a mechanical framework, not a mechanical strategy per se. A mechanical strategy is like this happened, this happened, this happened, but more so a mechanical framework. So what I mean by that, it's like, for example, my model is higher time frame key. Okay, so we're gonna need three things. This is my framework. I need a higher time frame key level. I need a intermediate term time frame SMT or market maker model, and I need a lower time frame SMT or market maker model. Right? That's my framework. Within that framework, I have to do critical thinking as well. It's not just this, enter. Right? I have to do critical thinking based on my experience, based on what I know about the markets, right? If the market's extremely bearish like this, right? Let's say we trade into this fair value gap and the market just plummeting through it, and I see my model on the lower time frame. Am I still gonna take this? Not really, because it's just out of context of the entire thing. Do you look for end dogs and end walks? Yeah, I do sometimes. I'll be aware of them. If you hear coughing in the back, that's my dad. Do you always wait 10 minutes after market open? No, I don't. If my setup is there, then I'll take it, but I want to see how, like today there's no news, so the only volatility injection there is 9:30 equities open, right? Typically, I don't trade no news days because I'm more of an intra-week trader than an intraday trader. So like how I operate, like, or at least my trading personality, how I operate is I like to do intra-week trade on my personal account, and then on my funded accounts, I like to do intraday trading. So I'm aware of where my personal account is at, right? So that I can start managing my trade accordingly, and also capitalizing on intraday moves. Is the daily SMT insignificant to you because it's too far back? Personally, I'm gonna have to look at that again. I wouldn't pay too much attention. Like personally, I'm just not paying attention to this SMT right here. It is pretty far back. Or which SMT are we talking about? This one right here, right? Yeah, I'm not really paying too much attention to that right now. There's also another thing that I think a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong to use SMT like this because it's like far away, but something I like to personally use is just immediate. What is immediate order flow telling me? And this is what I always teach. Like, what is immediate order flow doing? Right? What's immediately being respected, disrespected? What's in close proximity of price? Like, are we getting SMT on the high or low in close proximity? Right? So that matters, in my opinion. Right? If we have an order block form over here, okay, let's say this rejection block, right? Am I expecting this rejection block once we trade all the way down here to be target anymore? Not really, because if we're able to trade this far away from this rejection block, come back down, we're most likely in the sell side of the curve now, and we're going to target that liquidity instead, right? Whereas, if you pay attention here, this rejection block was already respected in close proximity. Why does this work better? In my opinion, is because it's in closer proximity. This is still the buy side of the curve, so it's going to respect bullish PD raise. On the buy side of the curve, you're targeting buy side liquidity, focusing bullish PD raise. When you're on the sell side of the curve, you're focused on sell side liquidity and bearish PD raise. Yeah, so Alex, I would just take my setup if it's there, to be honest. If you can spot that manipulation has occurred prior to a news event already, then that news event is just going to accelerate price in your favor, right? Just manage your risk accordingly. Now, would I recommend that right before one of the big three, like FOMC, CPI, NFP? Not really. But if it's just like a regular high impact news, then go for it, in my opinion. Sorry, excuse me. You got any videos on SMT? I have a full lecture on my YouTube channel if you want to watch. So right now I am paying attention to this 5-minute because equity's open, right? This 5-minute SMT, let's see, where is it at? I'm looking at why I'm how wick these highs. So potentially I think that might accelerate price lower with this SMT right here. But if you want to be safer, I would just wait for that candle closure. This is not part of my plan, so I'm not training it, but I'm just annotating this SMT for you guys. That this could potentially push us lower because we don't have a higher time frame SMT. So I would be expecting continuation lower, possibly. This 930 run being a Judas swing. And so another thing you guys can pay attention to is time-based liquidity. So if this is London low, typically you want to see it act as either support resistance because it's a time-based liquidity, right? So we trade, this is the range we're in, we trade below the range, we want to see the bottom of the range being respected, go lower. Once again, I can't stress enough, only trade if it's in your plan. I don't want you guys to just FOMO in because I'm saying stuff. While I'm doing its own thing. See how this candle develops. There's still 10 minutes in this candle. If you're feeling any FOMO right now, just take some deep breaths. Remember you once posted your STBPX pictures on X? Isn't there a way? I think if you go to the comment section, there's people that like use a bot to turn it into a PDF, so you can look there if you want. Varangan, that SMT, I'm personally not paying too much attention to it right now because to me that just looks like a buy sell liquidity raid, priming for some sort of retracement. Actually, I guess if you want to pay attention to it, you can, but to me it's just like that SMT is too far in proximity, in my opinion. So. You paused me. If you guys have any suggestions for YouTube videos, I guess I can make some. But I think for the most part, everything that's like super important will be covered in the mentorship. So, like everything a part of what I use will be covered in the mentorship. But if there's like very specific things you guys want me to make videos on YouTube, then go for it. The reason I haven't really uploaded to YouTube is because I think those lectures are very complete already, and I don't need to, just pump out content for the sake of pumping out content. Thoughts on equal highs at 882? I mean, it's possible, but we have an SMT created with that high already, so we'll see if it gets driven out or not. I want to see how this candle closes because we still have a few minutes here. The thing is, even if it went for the 882, right? There's not much room for you to get in an entry here, in my opinion. Like if you were to enter here, you just have 19 points of movement, which is not the ideal trade in my opinion. I guess for a scalper that's like amazing, but as an intraday trader, not too interested. I'm also paying attention to this gap right here. I want to see if it's like a tiny, tiny, tiny little gap. So I'm not expecting much, but I am aware it's there. Same as ES, it's right here. It's a bigger gap on ES. I'm going to see how once again, immediate order flow, how it's respecting it, right? So you still have 5 minutes here, or almost 6 minutes. You go to the 1 minute. I'm pretty sure it's chopping around on the 1 minute, yeah. Do you have a new Notion template journal? I do not have a new one. No, it's still the same one. For this 15 minute to close on Nasdaq, looks like 15 minutes gonna get inverted. I'm currently just watching price because my model is literally quite impossible right now. It's impossible for it to form right now. So, in terms of myself, I cannot push any buttons, but I can still try to tape read for you guys. I'm using ES1 features and my chart is different than yours. I'm using ESU, so I'm using the actual contract. If you're using the continuous, make sure your B adjust at the bottom right of your chart. See B-ADJ. Make sure that's blue. Do you trade unicorn model or silver bullet? Trade pretty much everything because once you understand market maker models, that's literally every model inside a market maker model. R2I had a perfect setup, 1 hour inversion, EQ equal loads below. Yeah, so once again, it's just I became profitable with ES and QYM, so I'm just gonna stick to it because last week it really messed me up when I was using NKD and RTY together for I don't even know why I did that, and it really messed me up because I missed my entries due to it. So I'm gonna continue to backtest NKD and RTY, but I need to understand it more in depth before I can even apply it. Right? I'm having a hard time trusting it because I don't have experience with it. When we have no news for the day, is better to wait for 9:30. Yeah, 9:30. So usually the first volatility injection of the day will create your high probability setup. In my opinion, it'll start forming it, right? That first volatility injection. I look at it as manipulation. It doesn't always happen, but it is a very high, like it very likely that that happens where the first volatility injection of the day creates manipulation of some sort. If you're able to identify manipulation prior to the news event, then it's most likely going to accelerate price in favor of that manipulation. You can take a look at NKD if you guys want. Not the most beautiful chart, but it is pretty, you know. It's pretty correlated, I think, from my experience. Or back testing at least. I followed your model introduced in YouTube where you state intermediate term time frame market maker model, but waiting for intermediate term time frame market maker model takes too long, 1 or 2 weeks. Just look at that intermediate term time frame SMT is enough for your opinion. I think honestly, if you want to use it that way, so you have your higher time frame key level, so your internal or external range liquidity, then you have an intermediate term time frame SMT, but then you have a lower time frame SMT as well, confirming a lower time frame market maker model, then go for it. But other than that, you're having an intermediate term time frame market maker model, right? That will always be extremely high probability because you'll understand that where you are in context of the overall market right now. What about FTSE? I personally don't use it. Like, once again, I've been, I feel like I've been profitable with NQYM. There's really no need for me to switch up, in my opinion. And I think that if you're still in the discovery portion of your model, then feel free to like backtest those and see if it works better for you. It's just for me personally, I already have a model, so I don't think it's necessary for me to really incorporate something new. Like, cause I understand why people want to make the switch because Dow Jones sometimes just does its own thing, right? Yeah, I get it's frustrating sometimes, but I think I've just had so much experience with it that I usually just use it as an indicator pretty much. So that's your 882 level taken, Alex. I think it was Alex that called it, if I remember correctly, or someone called it. I forgot who called it. Zane. So at this point, I'm paying attention to London High. If we get an SMT with that, then I would possibly be looking for maybe like a seek and destroy profile, but it does look pretty bullish right now. It looks like a turtle soup on a higher time frame. We'll see. I'll annotate it as it forms. This SMT is invalidated now with that higher push. Delete that line. And now you can pay attention to London High. See if we can push through that. Why am I a 1 hour balance price range above? Yeah, you could look for that balance price range to be traded into while SMT is forming. That would be pretty high probability. Whenever you have an SMT forming, the asset that creates a failure swing should be trading into a PD rate. Hit an SMT with Asia low. I'm not paying too much attention to Asia low right now. That's something I'm actively backtesting, but nothing super consistent as of right now, I'd say. How far you look for SMT? I just look at the previous quarter for SMT, to be honest. Maybe as I study more, I'll use more, but not too much. So that's London High on ES. I think NQ's probably gonna drive up there to take it as well. Once again, waiting for candle closure for some sort of confirmation to see what we're looking for. This would be SMT with London High though, so I think if we get some bear structure here, we could potentially look for lower prices and then end up being a seek and destroy day. 1 hour SMT valid at 1600. This is a SMT with the fair value gap. So this would be valid, yes. Can you explain quarterly theory, please? Day has a lecture on that on his YouTube channel, and also I have a PDF on that on my Twitter. So you can check that out if you'd like. I think it's a lot to explain, to be honest. It's a lot. But the introductory will get you digging, for sure. Did you take this as SMT? Not yet. I would like to see body closure to confirm. Using wick only to me is lower probability. IMLC. The body close. It's just like stopping. It's like closing beyond the liquidity. So it's like closing above London High, whereas YM fails to close above, right? So that's what I'm looking for mainly. I would just be patient here, especially with this massive bullish move. You want to see some sort of bearish structure put in first before even thinking about, because like you don't just see price reverse off of a move like this, right? Like it's not just gonna do that. So just give it some time. If my model presents itself, I'll take it, but if not, then it is what it is, right? I'm okay with no trades. I'd rather no trades than a forced trade. This is, as far as I see, it is technically 5 minute SMT, but once again, just give it some time because price is still pushing higher, right? You're gonna need at least a higher time from SMT to be confirmed first before you can look for a lower time frame one. Yes, Ferengen. So we had this candle closure above here. So I'd be expecting lower prices. Once again, I think that bear structure would be nice. I don't think price just plummets like this. So it's probably gonna at least give you some sort of, if it is going to reverse here, it's gonna give you some sort of chop first and then go lower. So don't FOMO in on this. Unless it's part of your model. If it's part of your model, go for it. I'm not gonna tell you what you do, but for me at least, I would not FOMO into this. We have ES candle close the Bolin high now, confirming the 50-minute SMT. Are we now looking for 5-minute candle close? Yeah, you could look for 5-minute now, in my opinion. That's what I would look for. Just took that out by wick. Remember, no trade is better than a forced trade, so just be patient if you're uncertain right now. Is there any model for London session? It's the exact same model as, and the whole, like, my model is universal. You can use it anywhere. The bullish breaker give 96 handles. Which one are we talking about? You're talking about this one? $96 handles. I don't see a bullish breaker. On the 5-minute chart or 5-minute bullish breaker? 96. Okay, so if I trace it from up here, it should be 96 points lower. This one. This one's not a breaker. Or at least the way I learned it from ICT is not a breaker. I'm sure there are many different ways of learning it though. What's your win rate? I'm sitting around like 80 something percent right now. I think majority of it is it's just about knowing when not to trade and when to trail stop loss. Because like even if I have a high win rate like that, like majority of my wins are like small wins or break evens. It's like so it's not even a win to be honest. Like some of those, it's just like for me, it's all about staying in the game, managing that risk accordingly, and just making sure my emotions are regulated. Right? If I'm feeling any FOMO at all, I have instead of my mouse in my hand, I have my pen in my hand, ready to write down on my journal why I want to enter a trade or something. Right? So that's like an extra barrier, physical barrier for myself. Yeah, fair value gap inside of the market structure leg is usually good. Usually pretty good. Um but what I like to do is if there is no fair value gap formed, then you look for the inversion gap that forms during the market structure shift. Right? So the swing point that you're using for a market structure shift should be a swing point that occurred within a fair value gap or RDRB or some sort of gap. And once it inverts that gap, that's your true market structure shift if you have SMT as well. Right, so a true market structure shift in my eyes looks like this. You have an SMT, you have a swing point that occurs within a previous gap, and you invert that gap. This is looking very good so far though. Very, very good. So what I mean by that is, for example, here you have a fair value gap with a swing point within it, right? Respects it before on the buy side of the curve, invert it with another gap. This creates your bounce price range. It's high probability because that's a true market structure shift in my opinion. And of course, your SMTs over here. Beautiful. Beautiful. You know, if you asked me like 2 years ago, I never would have imagined myself saying beautiful to price action, but it's nice. It really is nice. Oh, this is so good. Okay. Sorry. Let me read some questions. So what would your stop loss be in case of this short? So there's two different entries you could have taken. So the first one is off of this 15-minute SMT that we were looking at, and this 5-minute SMT that was formed at the same time. Or if you wanted to wait for a little more structure to form, then on the 1 minute it would be that balance price range I just highlighted, because this is your true market structure shift right here. Right? True market structure shift, balance price range is created, trades back into it, plummet, right? So your entry would have been over here if you decide to take this trade. And then your stop loss, you can put it above the fair value gap high candle, which would be this one. Or you can just simply put it at the high of the SMT, which is this high, which should be protected, looking for lower prices. Right? I want to learn more intraday stuff on M1 and 50 charts. You just apply exactly what you know on the higher time frames to the lower time frames. By the way, where to put limit order on that true market structure shift, the inversion for value gap or market structure shift line. So what I would do is, if you wanted to, personally, I like to market order because I think it's just better to like be aware of what you're doing while it's being executed. However, if you want to limit order, then you just put it on the low of this balance price range. So limit order like this. And then a stop loss above this fair value gap high or this SMT high. And then you just target lower. Yeah, the trade recap was pretty much, you have your London high SMT, we get a closure beyond it, right? Now you're paying attention, are we getting bearish price action? You could have entered off this 15-minute or this London high SMT if you wanted to, because we also have a 5-minute SMT occurring at the same time, right? If you missed that entry at this rejection block creation, then you can go to the 1 minute, right? Remember, we're looking for bearish structure, right? From that bearish structure, we have a balanced price range here, and you could have entered on that instead. But some of the inversion for value gap low is way below none of RR. Well, you're just gonna have to manage your trade accordingly, right? So basically what you're asking me is, what's the perfect entry? And the thing is, there is no perfect entry. That's why I only have a mechanical framework, not a mechanical entry model, right? is because when it comes down to the actual entry itself, you need to do some critical thinking based on your experience and your technical analysis, right? Do you care for OTEs? No, not really. I just pay attention to midpoint. What's the mechanical framework you use? I just use higher time from key level, right? Intermediate term time from SMT or market maker model, and then lower time from SMT or market maker model. That's my framework. Within that framework, I'll do critical thinking based on what the market's telling me, based on what I know. Because of Danik. Wow, that was such a beautiful setup. That's crazy. That's actually amazing. I love that. Yeah, I'm telling you, SMT is actually SMT is king. Any final questions here? I probably will be heading off here pretty soon. Been live for almost an hour and a half now, and I'm gonna hit the gym. So, hey, that's good though, Nicholas. If you hit max daily profit, that's actually good. No, I have not seen Black Myth Wukong. Oh, I think I saw it on. I think I saw it in an ad. Yeah, actually, fire trade today. Good stuff, everybody. You could. Well, that's a thing, Nicholas. Should have, could have, would have. Right? Should have, could have, would have. Journal it, reflect on it, learn from it. Varangan, don't be. Here's the thing: you can't be frustrated, right? The reason you're frustrated is because you had expectations. Understand that. The reason you are disappointed, frustrated, anything in yourself is because you had expectations today. You had expectations to catch a trade. You had expectations that this SMT specifically would work. Now, the SMT did work, right? But don't be frustrated you missed the move. Be glad that you had the right analysis. That's the first step. The first step is having good analysis. The second step is starting to practice your risk management. Third step is your emotional regulation. But be glad that you have mastered the first step, or you're not mastered, but you're getting closer to mastering the first step, right? Which is technical analysis. So, you know, don't be frustrated at yourself, right? That'll only hinder your progress. Redirect that frustration into journaling and studying. What can you do better for next time, right? And I know you journal a lot. Don't get me wrong. I know you do that. You do it very well too. But right now you're learning something pretty much completely new. Something that hasn't been introduced to you before. You can't expect to just instantly know how to use it, right? So you're doing good if you're able to spot it already. Demo for me is easy, but when prop firm trading, I get too fixated on P&L and blow accounts. Any tips? So For me, what I like to do is change the P&L to ticks, first of all. Number two, once you're in a trade, close it. Close your tab that you're in a trade and just look at your trading view. So what I do is if I execute on Top Step X or my personal broker, what I'll do is I'll log out of my personal broker on trading view and then I'll just watch price by itself. I understand where my stop loss and my TP and stuff is, but there's no distraction of P&L on my screen. And I'll just read price that way. And so you have to ask yourself as you're in a trade, are you making decisions based on emotion? Once again, this is where emotional regulation comes in. The three things you need to master to be profitable, in my opinion, is one, technical analysis, two, risk management, and three is emotional regulation. Okay? Being aware of your emotions is very important because you know what to do off of how you feel. So P&L, yeah, exactly. It's just psychological. When you fixate on your P&L, you're just focusing on the money, right? So you need to just get that out of your mind. When you're in a trade, just forget about it. You're in a demo trade. It's not real money. Whatever. You're here to read price, you're here to trade price. You're here to be a trader, right? So I guess this something you could try that I personally do is whenever I'm going to trade, I'll log out of my account or I'll close my tab that has a trade on it and I'll just read price objectively without any distractions of in position on my screen. And so that way I can look at it be like objectively, is there anything telling me to get out of this trade, or objectively is there anything telling me that price is going to move opposite direction of my initial bias, right? Is there anything invalidating this move right here? And if there is, then I'll get out of the trade. If there's not, then you just understand. If you're journaling and reviewing your journals and realizing you're exiting because like there's nothing there telling you to exit, but you just exit, then you're just exiting emotionally. You're acting on your emotions, right? And that's something I noticed in myself is I used to just exit early for no reason at all when there was nothing objectively there telling me to get out, and I was leaving a lot of profits on the table. And that's because I was fixated on the money. I didn't want to give back the profits I was making when in reality, I'm stunting my own growth by doing that. It's okay to take losses. You have to understand it's okay to take losses because that loss will help you become better. Building good habits will result in more than if you were just to end on a green day. Right? Whenever there's a professional selling at anything, then it's because they're fixated on whatever they're doing, their craft, right? The success is just a byproduct. For example, back when I used to competitively game, right? And it's not about focusing on, and this is something I still notice to this day that I do, and honestly I've been journaling it. It's like in my when I like to game, it's like playing the ranked queue or competitive queue where you have a fixed amount of elo or you have a rank you're trying to rank up to. If you just fixate on the rank, right? You're fixating on winning every game. That's going to make you more anxious and more nervous and perform worse overall. Whereas if I just focused on, you know, the fundamentals. So let's say technical analysis. I just focus on fundamentals, what's there, what's not. How can I improve myself in this aspect? Then success is just a byproduct. I don't know if you guys play games, so I'm not gonna go too deep on that analogy. But yeah, be processed. I think was the same. Process focused over goal focused or something. I don't know. Something like that. Yeah, so I hope that helped. I know I'm not the greatest at these types of talks. I'm trying to get better at them for sure. But I think that just comes with time and teaching, so seek and destroy worked. How did you call it out so early without confirmation? It's because we didn't have SMT on the lows and we just pushed up for no reason. And then once we had SMT on the highs, I expected lower prices. That is as simple as that, really. And also, if you once again, if you zoom out, sir, I'm actually like just looking at my Streamlabs. I'm not even looking at my chart. If you zoom out, you'll see that we have buy side taken, sell side taken, buy side taken again, right? Seek and destroy. So that's what I'm expecting, especially after yesterday's large range expansion, 400 points higher, right? We expect today to chop some sort of accumulation. That's pretty much how I anticipated that. And again, it's just using critical thinking based on my experience. There's nothing necessarily there that was like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen for sure. It's just me making a educated guess based on my experience. And then once the confirmation came, it came to fruition, right? So I could make a million different guesses and I could be wrong on all of them. But until I get a confirmation on one of those ideas, right, I'm not going to execute on it. And that's the thing. You have to know when not to execute is because your idea is just not there. It's simply not there. You're just forcing it. Do you look at London and New York high? Yeah, I do actually. It depends what time frames you're using, right? If I'm using the 15-minute, then I'll use 15 minute as my intermediate term time frame. 4 hours my higher time frame. Like this intraday trading, I would do that. Are you with a prop firm, Mario? Are you with Topstep? Is that why? Yeah. So on Tradeovate, you can only place 5 minis or 5 micros. They don't adjust it to scale. Whereas with TopStep X, you can place 5 minis or 50 micros. So they'll do it to scale there. But Tradeovate, they don't do that. A little frustrating, but that's what. But I also really enjoy TopStep X. So what's up, Avelo? Ringen, let's see. Yeah, you could look for a retracement into premium. I think I I feel like I'm really bad at catching continuation trades, but within a 15-minute PD array or area of interest, I would look for a 1 minute SMT. So if we were to trade back into this balanced price range, for example, at London low, then you can look for, or this RDRB right here, if it gets created, right? There's still 14 minutes. You can look for a 1 minute SMT and potentially manage your trade that way. So yeah, I think that's valid, Varangian, to be honest. But I think that if you're looking for trades, so like I genuinely think like Varangian, you might be a little too eager. I don't mean that in like a harsh or bad way. It's just I'm just kind of nudging you to make that realization for yourself. And you need to ask yourself, be honest with you. Are you eager for a trade right now because you're frustrated from earlier, right? How do you take partials? I went for 1.25R trying to do on Apex. What do you mean by partial? You just so let's say you sell 5, you buy back 3, that's a partial. Buy back 1, that's another partial, and then you full close. May I know where your final TP? So my final TP, so TP1 would definitely be this low right here that we just hit. And then I think that we can go much lower here in my opinion, but this first sell side would definitely be that first objective. And then let me see what our next TP can potentially be. I think there's nothing clear, like super clear for me to project, but I think we could possibly be going for these equal lows right here. Right? Possibly back into this daily fair value gap that we've been looking for. If we continue to put in bearish structure, then I just hold this. But TP1's pretty much hit, and then you'd want to leave a runner in my opinion. That's usually what I do is I'll just TP and I'll leave runners and then move stop to break even and let the rest go. Yeah, whale flow. I would recommend marking it yourself, and the reason I say that is because there's a lot of different types of SMT. Over, I'll reply to your messages on Discord in a bit as well. I just didn't get to trade journals last night, so I'll get to it. Probably after I go to the gym, so maybe around like maybe 1 or 2. I'll get back to everyone. Yeah, I got you, Ferengen. I also think that you might know too much, Ferengen. I think that might be an issue for you, that you know too much. Because I see your journals all the time, and you know what to look for. It's just you're looking for everything, though. London low. I think London low's already taken, no? London low's already gone. Oh, oh shoot! I actually I just realized I was supposed to end this. I said I was gonna end the stream like 20 minutes ago. So, is there any final questions? Type 1 if you're satisfied with the stream. Type 2 if you have any final questions and you want me to wait for you to type it out. And as always, if you have any feedback, let me know in the comments or in my DMs. Let me know how I can improve. On that note, I will see. Okay, I'll let LC type his question. You use standard deviations of manipulation legs. Yes, I use standard deviations of the SMT leg. The SMT leg is how I like to use projections, and I don't see anyone else use it that way. But now it's out there, so there you go. I look for SMT and consolidation. How do you look for only use body closures to confirm SMTs? So let's say, like in this case, ES closes above London High, NQ fails to close above, YM fails to close above. That's the confirmation I'm looking for. I want to see a candle closure to make sure there's actually a liquidity purge and manipulation occurring. Yeah, projection swings are crazy. Which pair should I watch, or which pair should I use if I'm using ICT? I think the best pairs, in my opinion, is using DXY with EU and GU, but you can use it with literally anything, to be honest. SMT with anything, or ICT with anything, right? You just have to find. You know what? I would say you can use it with anything. I don't think there's any best pair or anything, but EU, GU, and DXY is what I personally flock to in Forex. Standard deviation, do you use higher or lower side of the SMT? So it depends. So okay, let me project this for you guys. So the reason why so on NQ, right, it creates a failure swing in this case. So for my trade in NQ, I'm using this projection right here, the failure swing, right? Right, I'm using that because that's the SMT leg. Right, so I'm using that projection specifically. But on ES, I would be using it from this high to this low. Right, because that's also the SMT leg. So it just depends which market you're looking at, in my opinion. How long have I studied ICT concepts for? I want to say I studied ICT concepts like my entire trading career pretty much. So like 2 years minus 1 month. And studying directly from ICT's content probably took me like half a year to a year. And then I started learning from MXM Trader after that. I learned it from Casper SMC after that. And then I learned from Day after that. So it's just like ICT taught me literally everything, and then I used, these other mentors that I have as ways to to kind of put it together, if that makes sense. If I make $3,000 profit on a 50K account and the daily drawdown is 1,700, if I take 1,500 of my profit, does that mean I will have $200 left on my draw? No, it stops. So once you make $3,000 in profit, right, your trailing drawdown, it stops trailing on your funded account at 50K. So whatever your initial balance is. So the funded account and evaluation is different. The funded account, once you hit your initial balance, like your drawdown hits initial balance, then it just stays there. So if you withdrew $1,500 from a $53,000 account, then you would have $1,500 room of drawdown because the max drawdown is at 50,000. Is it a concern that YM's not in tandem? Not really. I just use it as an indicator, right? So and right now we're having an SMT between ES and NQ, which is like probably the highest probability type of SMT you can have because they're supposed to move together. So even if YM does its own thing, I'm not too afraid. Do you think learning from MXM or Casper a day is enough? I don't want to watch ICT. I think that what makes now I'm not saying by any means that they're bad. I think that they're all very good mentors, but for me it's like I compiled everything from each mentor and built my own thing. And that's why it's like my mentorship I'm creating right now, it's gonna be pretty compiling all the high probability things I know into one. So it's like I'm finding my own style and teaching my own style. So it's like there's no like not one mentor is better than another. I think everyone just has their own unique styles. And for me to find my style, I needed to go through multiple mentors to find different things, combine it together, right? So I just checked 2024 mentorship, but the problem is if I complete 4 to 5 videos, I forgot what's in the first video. Any suggestion? So personally, I haven't watched a 2024 mentorship, but I would just say your best bet is to take notes and you need to watch the mentorship multiple times. It's not just a one time and done thing. It's not a one and done thing because even to this day, I still watch content from MXM Trader. I still watch content from Casper SMC. I still watch content from Day. I don't watch content from ICT anymore because I just don't feel like it. I've done my days, but I've done my time of watching ICT. But I'll still watch their content to you know their refreshers and stuff. It's nice. Do you have any news about the Casper podcast you weren't in Miami? I have no clue, I'll be honest. I actually have no clue what's going on with that. How long did you study ICT for? So pretty much like 2 years minus 1 month now. Have you heard about DTFX? Dave trades Forex. Um, I don't know what he does actually. I think he trades market structure. I'm not sure. I don't follow him. I just know he. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know much. No comment there. I think the biggest mistake that a lot of people make is choosing a lot of different mentors. So I would say like maximum 5 mentors, but those mentors they all have to be trading the same thing. You can't have like Elliot. Okay, if I had a mentor in Elliott Wave and then mentor in ICT, it's just I feel like it just wouldn't be as cohesive and wouldn't be as good a learning experience as it could be. You know what I mean? Who's my fifth? I have a private mentor. When I first started, I had a private mentor teach me all of ICT while I was studying ICT. Super grateful for him. I don't know what happened to him. I think he had some mental health things going on, so that's all I'll say on that. I think DTFX, you have to do his homework and stuff like that, or it kicks you out, from what I heard. But once again, you guys do your own research on that if you want. I don't think he trades ICT, so if you are an ICT trader, I don't recommend you try to learn because that's you're essentially strategy hopping and you're just gonna start from zero again, right? So on that note, I actually have to go because it's time for the gym. I urge you all to do some sort of exercise today as well. And I see anesthetic. I see. Okay. On that note, thank you all for joining live as always. One day, yeah. One day, words of wisdom. I actually met up with Man, I met up with them all. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, I met up with Riz in Miami as well, but it's more of like an introduction. I think I felt like I didn't fit in there. I felt like I was just hanging out with like extremely successful people. I'm just there. I'm like, oh, I just made it, guys. I just arrived. Like, but it was a cool experience for sure. The way they talk and stuff is just you can tell, like, damn, they're up there. But yeah, it was a very cool experience for sure. Cause I'm just sitting there. They're like I just hit my five at that point. I just hit my like 5 figure month, my first 5 figure month, and then all of them were talking about like, yo, how can we move from 6 figure month to 7 digit month? And I'm like, yo, I'm still on five. Like, what's going on, bro? But yeah, it was actually insane. And then not like the value they drop in like pretty much just their discussions overall are like pretty great. And you can tell they're just genuine people. No, they don't. I don't think they hate ICT. They're ICT traders. Okay, on that note, I'm actually gonna head out here. Thank you all for sticking around at the stream. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys all tomorrow in the Discord for the live stream. Yeah, take care, everybody, and as always.